So, in the coaching athletes with disabilities manual, the chapter that I read was chapter 4, and that basically talked about how to include athletes with disabilities with able-bodied athletes. And it started off with three separate categories: the athlete, the coach, and the administrator. And in the athlete section, they talked about how Liz Sweeney, who is a competitive road cyclist, helped enhance her training by competing in the Paralympics and helping guide another cyclist by the name of Sean Marcellet, and how she was able to improve herself during that guide training in that Paralympics, and how she was able to improve her training like that, and it just enhanced her athletic experience, and realized that able-bodied athletes with disabilities are able to do more than what people think. Another person that they talked about in the coaching section was Jeff Snyder, who was a former coach in the OHL, which is the Ontario Hockey League. It's a league below the NHL, and how after he left that job, he re-energized his coaching career by starting to coach athletes with children with disabilities, and how he realized that it was not all about just winning; it was all about improving as a person, which includes himself, as well as helping the other athletes find the best versions of themselves. And the last section talked about the administrators, Tim Frick and Bob Schrader, and how they started to encourage kids with disabilities to start early with their sporting careers, and how they wanted to encourage them to get outside and start playing outdoors instead of staying inside all the time. Um, so, sports that have already done well in terms of starting to integrate able-bodied athletes and athletes with disabilities are swimming, the triathlon, weightlifting, and rowing. And those are really the four major ones that have already started. The most major being swimming, and a club that has already started this is the Monte Swim Club, and they have a coach who was a former Paralympian, and he coaches both able-bodied athletes and athletes with disabilities, and the program has even produced Kirby Coate, who is a five-time Paralympic gold medalist, and he even talks about how the difficulties of coaching certain swimmers who are severely disabled, and with that, he's able to like as he was training her and giving her one-on-one sessions, he noticed how all of the how some of the able-bodied athletes were willing to come over and help this girl, or this person, um, help her improve so that she could integrate with the others, because she was so far behind. But they were willing, but the able-bodied athletes and some of the athletes with disabilities were willing to help this one person improve, so that she could come over and integrate with them and start practicing with them. Um, Another person that they talked about was an alpine skiing coach, Ozzy Sawicki, and how integration had improved motivation uh, amongst the able-bodied athletes that she coached, and how she noticed that the attitude among the able-bodied athletes changed. It was as if the able-bodied athletes saw the athletes with disabilities, and they were motivated um, in a way that look at her, she's doing this, and she doesn't have all the st- um, she's not as able-bodied as I am, and she's able to do what I can do. So it was a good motivation. And the last thing they talked about was the parameters that you have to have when you adapt a sport, which is space, time, execution, equipment, environment, and the rules. So an example is wheelchair tennis, and how instead of two bounces, instead of only allowing one bounce in regular tennis, they allow two bounces in wheelchair tennis to help the able-bodied athletes, reach the destination that the ball is going to. And it's basically the same rules as regular tennis. But it's adapted to help the athletes with disabilities and help them enjoy their sport. A concept that you can apply, a couple concepts that you can apply from the class are teaching technical skills and effective communication. And teaching technical skills, it helps the athletes learn how to play the game and how to adapt their game, how to adapt certain plays from regular basketball into their program, and how they can run certain plays. Like, let's say in wheelchair basketball, you can adapt the triangle offense from from the NBA into wheelchair basketball, and you can run that as long as you adapt it the right way. And then the effective communication, I think, is very it goes hand in hand with team tactical skills. You have to be able to communicate with with the athletes, and be able to tell them what plays to run, and you have to be able to talk to them, understand them, listen to them, and be able to effectively communicate with the athletes. And one concept that I can take away from this is probably from Jeff Snyder. Jeff Snyder talked a lot about how coaching athletes with disabilities really made him understand that coaching is not all about winning, and it's not all about championships. It's all about improving yourself as a person, and improving yourself as a human being, and helping others improve themselves and become the best versions of themselves overall. And I think that's the main takeaway that I got from this. It's just, you have to be able to motivate yourself and motivate others in order to motivate others to become the best versions of themselves. And I think that's what it's all about.